candle holder. In today's video we'll be making a candle holder. Let's go over the work table and get started.
Alright, for the candle holder we're making today, this is the pattern downloaded off of Steve Good's website. And as you notice, it calls for 3/4 inch thick wood, and I changed that to 1/2 inch because the wood that I have available right now that'll look good for this project is 1/2 inch. So just change the measurements on these slots and it'll work out. So now what we can do is introduce the woods we're going to be using for the project. The two woods we're going to be using is walnut and maple. Maple will be for the actual base of it that has the candle on it, and the walnut will be used for the legs, so I think the contrast there will look nice. Now we can get started by applying the pattern to the piece of wood. For this process I'll just simply use a box cutter knife, or you can use scissors, and I'll cut around the pieces that will go on the walnut, and then I'll cut around these that will go onto the maple. And this 1/4 inch bottom piece that will hold the bottom of it, because this will be hollow for the candle to be in, I'm going to go ahead and use a walnut on this too, and that's 1/4 inch. So I'm going to cut around the pattern, and I'll show you how to apply it to the wood. I got my legs cut out, and to apply them to the piece of walnut here, let me zoom in. On these, I think the best look will be with the grain going vertically, with it going long ways. If it went horizontally, it might look a little weird because of the length being with the grain going that way. So the best orientation of the grain, and just apply it in that grain going vertically there. And what I like to use is masking tape, and that helps peel up the pattern because of the spray adhesive before. That's just harder to peel it up. You can use this or blue painter's tape, it works the same. So I'll go ahead and put a piece of masking tape down, and then I'll show you what to do after that. Alright, now that I have the masking tape on there, I can go ahead and apply the pattern onto the masking tape using spray adhesive. The kind I use, nothing fancy, it's just a general purpose 45. They have more stronger bonds like 77, but I think the just general purpose 45 is good enough, and it's by 3M. It's pretty cheap at Walmart. You can get for, I think it's like $5 or something, but one can will go a far way. So this is the spray adhesive I use. So I'll spray it onto the back of the pattern, and it will instantly stick to the masking tape there. Now that I have the patterns on, it's not a necessity, but I've learned the trick of this process using clear box tape, and I use it for all my projects, not just because it lubricates the blade and keeps the pattern down. It's just a process that I usually never go without. But in this step, the walnut not as much, but the hard maple, it's a pretty hard wood, and when you go to cut it, it might burn through the wood as you're cutting if you sit in the same place or push the wood too hard. And the purpose of the clear box tape is that it will lubricate the blade because the glue on the tape, and it holds down the pattern if you don't have enough spray adhesive on it. Real quick, I just want to show you this piece of maple that I have. It has a lot of planing marks on it, and it's not real smooth because I got it, well, it's not rough cut, but it hasn't been jointed, so I don't have the access to that. And I have a nice piece of cherry here that I'm going to substitute in for the maple for the top, this piece here, and I think that'll look alright. The contrast between the cherry and the walnut will look good. So I'm not going to be using maple, I'll be using walnut. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the pattern to that, and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, now I have all the pieces applied to the wood, the actual candle top, the legs, and then the bottom piece. And that's out of 1/4 inch, by the way, walnut. So there's no entry holes except for this. We just have to cut out the whole center of it, and that's where the candle will go. So I'm going to go ahead and drill the entry hole for that, and we'll get started on the scroll saw to cut these out. We're here at the scroll saw now, and I'm starting with the top piece, the cherry, and I have a number 5 ultra reverse blade in my scroll saw here for this project because 1/2-inch wood and not many intricate pieces, so I think that blade will give me the easiest to work with. So let's get started. I'll cut the interior hole where the candle will go first, and since I've done this project before, I know that the candle will fit very snug into it, so I'll cut just to the outside of the line, and then I can go back and finish sand with the Dremel, for instance, to get the fit just right. So I'll start cutting now. Now we can take the blade out, and then I won't have to feed it into any more holes, and I can just proceed with the rest of the cutting. I do want to add though, on these slots I want to cut just to the inside of the lines because you don't want too loose of a fit with the legs on there because you can't add material to it. So if you cut to the inside and it's not enough to fit, then you can always take it away with some sanding. So don't cut them too loose or it will end up with harder to assemble. So make sure I cut those to the inside of the lines. And if you can't make the turn, you can go up to the line, back up with the scroll saw running, and then proceed to cut, and then go back and clean that up later if you can't make the nice 90-degree turn there, so it's a nice snug fit with the leg. And that's where I'll stop there on that, and then I'll come back and get that chunk out, and then I'll clean those up. That way I have access to come up to the point and it can clean up this cut. And then the same with this side. This way. Now I can do that for the rest of them, and I'll do that after I cut the whole circle out. Now I can move on to the legs, and I'll clean those up later. Now for the legs, it's the same way I'll do it with the slots. I'll cut just to the inside of the lines. That way it's not too loose of a fit. And this walnut's a little bit easier to cut, so it won't take as long to cut through it. Now that I got that one done, I'll go ahead and remove it and clean up the inside of that. Remember, cutting to the inside of the line. Alright, we're off the scroll saw now. We can peel up the pattern And if you've used spray adhesive on paper only, and you find that if you wait too long, the paper will stick to that and it's just a pain in the butt, the masking tape or blue painter's tape really makes it easier to peel up the pattern. Alright, now that I have the pattern peeled up on all the pieces, I can just check the fit of them all and see if I need to do any sanding to get them to fit right. And as you can see, this doesn't fit all the way in, so I'll just go in there with a file, or what I have here is just a stick that has a piece of sandpaper that has spray adhesive to it, and I can go inside these little corners of the pieces and sand away little by little to get that nice fit. So that one's actually pretty good. So I can go ahead and make sure everything fits real good, and then I'll be right back with you to show you the next step. Alright, I've test fitted all the pieces, and I've one somewhat loose piece here that likes to wobble around inside of it, and the rest are snug. So what I'm going to do with this one is go ahead and glue it in like I would the other ones, and then I'll hide the little gap later on with some sawdust and some glue, and I'll show you how to do that. So I can go ahead and take the pieces apart now, and I will sand them. And I think sufficient enough will just be a block of wood with some sandpaper around it. In this case it'll be 220, and this is just to get the burrs off the side of the wood and smooth it up. And since I used an ultra reverse tooth blade, there shouldn't be too many of them. Also, you want to check the fit of the candle into the hole, and it doesn't even come close to fitting inside of it. So to fix that problem, what I have is my Dremel tool with the sanding bit on the end, and I can just go around the inside of this until I have a nice fit with the candle. So I'll go ahead and do that, do all the finished sanding, and I'll be right back with you to do the glue up. Alright, the next step in the process is of course gluing. I have all the finished sanding done. I made sure all the joints fit and the candle fits, and I got it so it would fit in there somewhat snug, but you can pull it out at the same time. And what I'm going to use is, I use it for most of my projects, the Aleene's Clear Gel Tacky Glue. I also have a different kind that's white but dries clear, but this is more of a gel, so that loose fitting joint in there might be able to be stronger because it's a gel and it's more goopy than liquidy. So what I'm going to do is I just have a random piece of pattern that I have off the one of the centerpiece here, and I'm going to squirt the glue onto that. That way if I squirt it onto a piece of wood it doesn't soak into it. And I'm going to be using this brush to dab the pieces of the where the joinery is going to be at. So what I'll do is I'll just take the glob of the glue and put it onto the actual workpiece, that the leg. I'll make sure I get quite a bit because the squeeze out dries clear, and I can go ahead and chip it away if there's too much. And then I'll take the piece that I'm putting it into, and this is actually the loose one, so I'll make sure that's in there and glue the rest of them up, and that way I know if it's sitting on there straight or not. And this sort of piece you can't really clamp, so if you get it all put together, it should somewhat clamp itself if the joints were somewhat tight. And this one here was the loose one, so if you get enough glue on there, the gel should make it real nice. And you check the bottom of them to make sure that they sit flat, and we can sand them later if they don't, but right now that's sitting pretty good. So you can't really clamp it, so I'll let it sit like that, and then I'll glue on the bottom, and then I'll show you what to do from there. Here's the candle holder, and all the glue is dry on it. I went ahead and did the bottom of it, and that's dry. So now what we can do is burn in the bottom of it. I'll burn right on the bottom piece here. And there's the burning. To finish this piece, what I'll be using is this Deft clear lacquer, and I picked it up at Lowe's for about $5 or so. I don't know the exact price, and I think it'll make this cherry and walnut really pop and make it look nice. Shake it real good. You can spin it around. Now we can flip it over since these ends are high, and those will just be resting on the top here, and that won't mess up the rest of the work. Make sure I get everything nice and coat. I'm gonna let that dry like that now, and I'll probably use some steel wool in between another coat or two, and that smoothens the fibers on the wood in case they come back up through spraying, and then it smooths it down, and you can give it another coat or two of this, and there's the final product.
Hope you enjoyed this video of the candle holder here. Go like our Facebook page, and we'll see you next time on the Country Scroller.